Hello, welcome back to the Grape Explorer and welcome to this month's World of Wine. Very brief roundup of some of the wine stories that have caught my eye over the last 30 days. If you're new to this channel, welcome. This is the Grape Explorer. We do wine education on here, product reviews, wine tasting, and I do a monthly roundup of news stories as well. So if that's your thing, consider subscribing. Let's get straight into the first news item then. I wonder how many of you have often asked how much would it cost to buy a vineyard? Well, Decanter Wine has released a story this month looking at exactly that. And what they have worked out is that a single hectare of Burgundy Grand Cru vineyard costs 6.5 million euros on average in 2019, which is up by 4% from the previous year. That is, of course, if you can find anything to buy, and although 1 hectare comes in at around 6.5 million euros, it's more often than not the case that actually you're unable to buy a hectare. You might just be able to buy a smaller portion of that. What it means overall for Burgundy is that prices on property have risen 70% in just a period of 8 years. And if you think that sounds pretty prohibitive, if you were looking to invest in a vineyard, then some winemakers in the Côte d'Or would likely agree with a number of ongoing concerns among producers about rising land costs and the difficulties that pose for wineries in line with French inheritance laws. So what if you haven't got 6.5 million euros to spend? I haven't. A single hectare in Pauillac costs 2.3 million euros per hectare, and in Pomerol it would be just 1.9 million euros per hectare. So pretty expensive, as you can see. But of course that's talking about Burgundy and Bordeaux. So what about some of the perhaps more affordable wine areas? Well, a single hectare of vineyard in the Languedoc costs just 16,000 euros per hectare on average, having not changed in the last year or so. So it does go to show that there are, of course, some land available to purchase at a reasonable price. But of course, you're talking about Burgundy and Bordeaux, and really you're talking about the prestige that comes with that, which of course drives up higher prices. I will not be buying any chateaus or vineyards anytime soon, I can assure you. Now, moving on to another story from Decanter magazine, and this is around the first convictions in China over fake Bordeaux wines. It's a landmark victory in the battle against counterfeits in China. And a counterfeiter who had displayed fake Bordeaux wines at a trade show in China had been found guilty and given an 18-month suspended prison sentence in China. It called the conviction a major milestone in a decade-long battle against counterfeits. Now, many of you may have seen my recent video on investing in wine. I talked a little bit about counterfeiting there and the dangers of investing because of that. Counterfeit wines are everywhere. It's very, very difficult, because you're not necessarily opening these bottles to taste them, to be able to really tell what's genuine and what's not. And it comes down to, there's a lot of investigative work that goes into trying to identify counterfeit wines. The wines involved in the most recent convictions were from Bordeaux, but it wasn't just concentrated on one area in Bordeaux specifically. It found that counterfeits were actually taking place across appellations in Bordeaux. Police seized wines displayed by the exhibitor of the show and later discovered a counterfeit batch of 10,000 bottles. Now just think about some of the prices that they're charging for those, the money that they're being made from fake wines. And like I say, because people aren't opening them, it's very difficult to say whether something's fake or not, just on face value, looking at the labels, the bottles, etc. Now, alongside the conviction, the 18-month suspended sentence, the individual was actually only fined, and I say only because I don't think it is enough, only £11,000, 13,000 euros. And I actually think for someone who had 10,000 bottles, and if you think about the types of money we're talking about where they would have been able to sell those, £11,000 for me just is not good enough. It should be much more severe. It shouldn't be a suspended sentence. It should be a time in prison sentence. Counterfeiting wines is a crime, and people convicted of it should be punished accordingly, in my view. Now, moving into the next story that caught my eye, the US government has approved 2 new wine appellations in Oregon. They are both in the Willamette Valley. Now, before I get into the names, every time I say Willamette on my videos, someone writes in the comments Willamette or Willamette, damn it. Willamette, damn it. I don't know, am I saying it wrong? Let me know in the comments section below. Can someone put it phonetically down there for me, please? Yeah, 2 new appellations in the Willamette Valley. You've got Laurelwood District and Tualatin Hills, or Tualatin Hills. The 2 viticultural areas are adjacent to each other in the northwest corner of the valley. Tualatin Hills is the larger of the 2, comprising 144,000 acres, of which 979 are planted to vine. It includes 31 wineries and tasting rooms and is situated west of Portland and north of the Yarnhill Carlton AVA. The other appellation in Laurelwood Hills is actually a lot smaller, but it still has around 30 wineries. And the most significant thing about this appellation is that it's defined by its soils and not just its geographical locations. Be interesting to see what comes out of these 2 new appellations in the coming years. So, talking about more established areas, specifically Barolo in Piedmont, Italy. Right now, if you're a wine collector, Barolo, wines of Piedmont are a real hot topic in 2020, real trending wines in 2020. And a growing number of collectors are really starting to recognise the value and investment potential to be had with these wines in Barolo, Barbaresco, for example. Part of this reason is that there was an exceptional vintage of Nebbiolo in 2016, which has created one of the best vintages in recent years. And quality in this area has gone up steadily over a number of years, but it's been helped by a number of significant vintages. Collectors have now been drawn to Piedmont Nebbiolo, which has invited comparisons with the complexity and nuance offered by Pinot Noir in Burgundy's Côte d'Or. So praise indeed for Barolo. I think it was already pretty well established, but clearly it's becoming something that people are turning to perhaps as a suitable investment alternative to Bordeaux and Burgundy. The article goes on to say that they're seeing lots of new people coming into it who want to understand who the best producers, the best vintages are in that area. And that is purely from an investment standpoint. They're looking to make an investment, and again, longer term. Barolos can age for years and years and years. I always remember being at a wine tasting, and I was stood next to an older gentleman, and I was tasting Barolos from Pio Cesar, producer in Piedmont, and the sales representative for Pio Cesar was saying that these wines would be great to drink in around 20 to 25 years time, and the old boy who was stood next to me turned to me and he just said, "Well, I'll be dead by then," which really made me howl. I just found that absolutely hilarious that was his reaction to learn that the wines have a fantastic aging quality and potential. There we go, just a few stories from the month of June to share with you then. Wasn't a lot of great stories out there this month. I think that's because there's still a lot of tension and nervousness in the world right now, which is completely understandable. But I do hope you found these stories interesting, and please let me know of anything that's caught your eye this month. For now, I'm going to say I'm the Grape Explorer. See you all again soon. Cheers.